Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Galaxy Eyes test hands. I'm really excited for this one because this deck is a really fun deck to actually play around with if you like rank 8 plays, because this deck makes some of the most iconic rank 8 monsters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're actually a part of the archetype, which is a really cool thing. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting your name in the description of every single video, getting a signed card sent to you in the mail, or even getting your requested deck just like this one every single month that you are a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So before we do guys, I am going to go ahead and pile shuffle the deck because you want to make sure that you get a nice good shuffle in the deck. And while I do, I'm going to talk to you guys about what I hope that this deck can actually perform like. So basically what you're going to be trying to do is make a Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon first, and then make your copy of Galaxy Eyes the Photon Lord and your copy of number 38, because you're trying to negate spells and traps, or spells, monsters, and bounce monsters on your opponent's side of the field for first turn. For second turn, you kind of just want to go all in and make as many rank 8s as possible to go after your opponent for a bunch of damage, which is pretty much what the deck does well. And even making Galaxy Eyes Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy, the deck still does a lot of damage with just that, because it's a 3000 beat stick that can just beat over the majority of stuff. So let's go ahead and draw out a test hand and see what we can actually pull off. So right off the bat, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, you guys know it. It's basically what the deck is based around. Vanisher, which is a really good special summon and searches Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Thrasher, special summon to your side of the field. This is really good because it's going to discard your copy of Galaxy Eyes, and then Galaxy Soldier, which is going to help us out searching a Galaxy monster and going into Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is super helpful for the deck. So that's not a bad hand at all, because you could do something as simple as drop the trade-in, and then trade-in is going to let you draw 2, which is Galaxy Zero and Expedition. Expedition is going to open up so many plays, because you can just special summon another copy of your Galaxy Soldier if you want to. Galaxy Soldier is going to get you a special summon. You can drop this on your side. Like, you can empty your whole hand onto your side of the field and just go off. And the Galaxy Zero is basically Monster Reborn that's going to let you extend. So that's an insane board. You could easily finish on at least 1 rank 8, maybe 2 rank 8s, and a copy of Infinity with that board easily, really easily, or at least Soulflare, a rank 8, and an Infinity really easily for going first. That was probably one of the most insane hands I've actually drawn in a long time for Galaxy Eyes. And Galaxy Eyes are good, don't get me wrong, but that was something. That was something else. And this deck, I will mention, you guys, usually likes to go second because of how much it likes to OTK. So I do play Nibiru in this deck as well. So for the second test hand, we're going to draw into a copy of Galaxy Lord, or not Galaxy Lord, Galaxy Knight, a copy of Galaxy Expedition, Thrasher, Photon Dragon, and a copy of Galaxy Knight. So you don't want to draw duplicates like this of Galaxy Knight, but that's not too terrible, because you can just special summon out your copy of Thrasher and then normal summon out your copy of Galaxy Knight. Galaxy Knight's effect is not going to trigger, which is a shame, but you're still going to get a lot of value off of it, because you're going to get to play around with the Galaxy Expedition with it to get you at least 1 rank 8 out on your side of the field. And if we go second, we're going to draw into an Ash Blossom to stop our opponent from, doing something on their following turn, which is not terrible. So that hand wasn't crazy because we did draw that double Galaxy Knight, but it wasn't bad either, because you could at least get 1 rank 8 out to go ahead and attack your opponent with, and end with at least a Thrasher and something like that. You could also end by going into Soulflare Dragon if you felt like you needed to, but it wasn't nuts to me. It wasn't what the pizzazz of the deck can actually pull off, because the deck's really insane. But sometimes you get hands like that aren't like crazy. So let's go ahead and cut that deck really quick, and then we're going to draw 1 last test hand. So we're going to draw into a Photon Orbital. That's not bad at all. Galaxy Expedition, you always want to open that card. This card is going to instantly give you a Soulflare, Ash Blossom, and a copy of Ash Blossom. So we have some negates. We actually have a Soulflare right here. The Expedition's a little bit dead, but you also had the Photon Orbital that during your main phase you can target a Photon or Galaxy monster and equip to this card, and now it cannot be destroyed by battle. And then you can send this card to the graveyard to add a Galaxy or Photon monster from your deck to your hand, which is really good just to be able to get you additional plays off with this card. I mean, that's not terrible. Drawing in a Photon Orbital kind of makes hand. If you're going to draw again, you're going to draw into another Expedition, which, again, not the greatest, but not terrible at the same time. because you can at least make Soul Flare Dragon on first turn, which is really good. Soul Flare Dragon is insane. So let's go ahead and actually play out a test hand, and I'll show you guys what the deck is capable of with a pretty good hand. So we're going to go first for this one, so I'm going to really quickly give it a quick shuffle, sit it over here, give it a quick cut to just show you guys that it is completely shuffled, and just get a totally random hand. So we're going to get drawn at Galaxy Expedition. That's not bad at all. Tachyon Transmigration, that's a good negate. That's essentially one negate. Second Galaxy Expedition, Galaxy Knight, which is going to get us a play with the Galaxy Expedition, but the Galaxy Knight is kind of until you get Galaxy Eyes Photon in the graveyard. And a second Tachyon Transmigration, which this is not bad because you have two negates technically. I wouldn't count this as bad if I was going first, but it's not going to achieve exactly what we need. I mean, it's not going to do anything bad, but watch this. I'm going to get three negates. You're going to get a Galaxy Knight, activate the copy of Galaxy Expedition. The Galaxy Expedition is going to special summon from deck your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. I mean, the deck is kind of simple. It just does things like this, and that's totally fine. You can't activate the second Galaxy Expedition because it's a once per turn, unfortunately, but you can still do this. You can overlay them both together and then make a copy of Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy, or you can make Photon Lord, depending on what you want to make, because this one has the ability that when an opponent's monster activates its effect, you can quick effect detach material from this card, negate the effect of the monster, and then if the declared monster was a Galaxy card detached, you destroy that card, and then during your opponent's turn, you can quick effect take a Galaxy Eyes or Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or attach in this card's material. Actually, I'd probably just make this in defense. Because it still counts as a Galaxy Eyes monster, and then you can set both of these to your side of the field, and you have a decent field where you have essentially three negates on your side of the field, and plus you can activate this as well to, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, take a Galaxy Eyes and add it from your hand, or from your deck to your hand, and then get you a plus off as well to get you another Galaxy Knight to the graveyard. From your deck to your hand, because you're going to start flowing with the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon out on the field and just get it where you have more material. So let's go ahead and draw to say we're going the next turn. And actually, excuse me, if we're going to do this, let's go ahead and negate or say that we're going to detach the material, because during your opponent's turn, you can take one from your deck to your hand. So let's go ahead and add from deck to hand probably a copy of... It's either Galaxy or Photon, I believe. Yeah. Take a Galaxy or Photon and add it to your hand or attach it as material. Add it to your hand or attach material, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and add from our deck to our hand probably a copy of... I probably won't add Brave. I probably add from deck to hand... I probably would grab Soldier. Because Soldier is going to give me another add from deck to hand, which is going to be super nice. And then let's say you negated with this. You're going to negate with the copy of Tachyon Transmigration, because if you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you negate the activation of your opponent's spells and trap cards and monster effects before this chain link, which is really cool, and shuffle them into the deck, which is really cool. And it's not once per turn, so you can activate both copies. So if I'm going to draw into my next turn, we're going to give it a quick cut and draw into our next turn, which is going to be a trade-in, which is not going to get us a crazy hand because we don't have a light monster in hand to really go off with, but you still have this to sit on and you have the second negate, so it's not terrible. So let's go ahead and go into our next test hand. That one wasn't crazy, but you had the negates to kind of back you up and last out a little bit to go into some other plays and kind of stun your opponent at the very least to go into the other hands. The only thing that I could have done differently was gone for a copy of Photon Vanisher and special summon to Photon Vanisher on my turn to add a Galaxy Eyes Photon from deck to hand, and then gone from there depending on what I would have drawn. That's the only thing I could have done a little bit differently if I wanted to. So let's go ahead and see what we can get for our second test hand and go off with that. But we did make the Galaxy Photon Lore, which is extremely important to the strategy. So give it another cut really quick, and let's go ahead and draw. So we're going to go ahead and draw into an Ash Blossom, which is not terrible. This is going first, by the way. Galaxy Eyes Photon, Photon Vanisher, not terrible. We need something to normal summon, though, so we got the Galaxy Wizard and a copy of Galaxy Sanctuary. So this is not bad at all. This is not terrible, because you can do something as simple as this, where you activate the Galaxy Sanctuary, and we're going to use two cards that we're not going to use, which is going to be our Cyber Dragon Infinity and Nova, just as tokens. Since we're doing test hands, this is okay. I don't think you can really do this if you're actually playing in a tournament. You need dice or tokens itself, but I don't have tokens where I'm at right now. I didn't get them out, but you can use these cards if you're just doing test hands, or in locals, you probably get away with this. But you're just using these cards, so we're going to go ahead and link them away anyways. Nobody's going to really care about that. And go directly for a copy of the Soulflare Dragon up here, because you have to summon it to a link zone, which is really, really important. Or you could go for a Union Carrier as well. And if you go for the Union Carrier, you can actually equip Photon Orbital to it and get you a search off instead of going for the Soulflare. But I like going for Soulflare, so we're just going to go for that. Now that you control a Photon monster, you can immediately special summon this card from your hand, which is going to be really nice to get you another Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your deck to your hand, because it only searches Galaxy Eyes Photon. Then you can do something like this, where you normal summon out your copy of your Galaxy Wizard, and then Galaxy Wizard contribute itself to get you another monster from the deck, or you can do something really simple with this card, and then attribute this card to be able to go for another card, or you can overlay them, which I do recommend overlaying them in this scenario where you have the two monsters on your side of the field, and going for something like your copy of Starleech Photon Blast Dragon. If you go for Photon Blast Dragon, you can special summon a Photon monster from your hand, which is really cool, which I really like, and then you can special summon out your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So this is not a bad board at all. This card also has a really neat effect that while this card has XYZ materials, your opponent cannot target monsters you control 2,000 or more attack with card effects. So it also protects your monsters for card effects as well, which is really nice to be able to do. And it also has a really neat effect that once per opponent's turn, quick effect, you can detach material from this card and target one Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon that's banished in your graveyard and special summon it. So if they do get rid of this, then you can just bring it back. So you have the Ash Blossom, you're making it where they can't be affected, and then you also have the Soulflare to bounce stuff that they put on the board. So you have a pretty decent board, and then going in next turn, if you draw into your next draw, you're going to draw into a Call by the Grave, which is not going to be insane, so you better hold out with what you got, because if you don't, you're not going to get anything else. That's the problem with Galaxy Eyes, is once you blow your hand, there's not a super big recovery for the deck, which is the only problem I've ever found with Galaxy Eyes. Is if I draw, I'm going to draw into a hand trap or something like this, and then I have no recovery. Or a copy of Galaxy Soldier, I don't have a lot of recovery here, because I'm just going to special summon the Galaxy Soldier, and then that's it. So that's it for the second test hand. Let's go into the third test hand and see what we can do with the next test hand. But it's not bad. The deck is not bad. Don't get me wrong by saying all that. The deck is not bad at all. It's just that's how the deck functions. Is you want to. It's kind of like what you think is a glass cannon, where you're going in really hard with the deck to be able to OTK your opponent, and if they stop it, kind of like Blue Eyes Chaos Max, but with more pieces, where you go after your opponent with certain monsters, or you go really defensive with your Galaxy Eyes. For defense, you've got this, and you've got this, which is your defense cards, essentially, in your extra deck that you're trying to summon, or your copy of Infinity. These are defense cards, or what I call defense cards. And then for your offense cards, you have this, you've got this, Blade, and then you have this as a really good offense as well, where this can go to 9,000 as well. So you have a really good offense-defense kind of style with the deck, but you got to keep in mind which side you need to go for when you're going into your XYZ plays. Essentially, this is your toolbox, and this is how you get there to it, which is the way I've always looked at the deck. So let's go ahead and go into our next test hand, go ahead and cut that deck really quick, and see what we can do. So Galaxy Expedition right off the bat, not terrible at all. Taking on Transmigration doesn't get us an extra negate. Our copy of Galaxy Knight, not bad. You can just activate this with the Galaxy Knight. Copy of Ash Blossom, so you got another negate, and a Galaxy Brave. So the Galaxy Brave is not bad at all. Because if this card is in your hand, you can reveal a Photon monster, and then special summon this card from your hand. If you do, its level becomes the level of the Photon monster. And if this card is normal summon or special summon, you can target a Galaxy monster in your graveyard, and this card's attack becomes the same, which is pretty good for later in the game. But if you're early in the game, it's kind of dead in your hand for a little bit, because you got to have other cards to kind of build off of it. So we're going to normal summon this, because if you control a Photon or Galaxy monster, you can normal summon this card without tributing. But we can't do that right now, so you kind of brick with this hand, but you can have the Ash Blossom. But if we're going into our next hand, we get to draw a copy of Photon Orbital for going second. Normal summon the Photon Orbital, and then you're kind of dead in the water from there, because you don't have a lot of plays that you can go for with this hand, to be honest. This hand is kind of dead, to be perfectly honest. You can't normal summon the copy of Galaxy Knight. You can't go in for the other monsters. It's kind of dead from there. So we're going to go ahead into our next test hand. That's kind of how the deck breaks sometimes, is when you draw to the Galaxy Knight, and you don't have another monster that you can get on your field, even with Photon Sanctuary, if you get Photon Sanctuary plus Galaxy Knight, you're fine. But if you don't have that, you're kind of in a bad spot, to be perfectly honest. So let's go ahead and do the 4th test hand and see what we can do with this next test hand and go ahead and do it. So for the next test hand, we're going to draw into Galaxy Soldier. This is already a good start. Trance, Vanisher, Orbital, and a copy of Call by the Grave. We're going first. We're going to be able to go off with this hand. So go ahead, and this has the ability that if this card is sent, you can send this equip card to the graveyard and then add a Galaxy or Photon from your deck to your hand, which is going to be super helpful. So you can do something really cool with this hand. And since this is a Photon monster, you can discard this card to the graveyard, special summon your Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is going to trigger, the Photon Orbital is not. But the Galaxy Soldier is going to trigger, which is going to give us a really good play on the field. Because you're going to be able to special summon out a monster, or add a monster from deck to hand that is essentially a Galaxy monster, which is going to help us out quite a lot with this hand. Since you do have the copy of your Photon Vanisher, you can special summon out a monster, which is going to be helpful. And if you can reveal a Photon monster in your hand, which this is a Photon, and then you can special summon it. So I'm going to add from my hand, I'm going to add to my hand a copy of the Galaxy Brave to special summon it to my side of the field, which is not going to be bad because I can increase its attack anyways, or use it as a link material or something else. Or you could even go for a copy of the Galaxy Soldier, but you're not going to have a monster in hand to discard because you're going to want to special summon out this. Anyways, or you could actually play it like this if you want to. Instead of grabbing the Galaxy Brave, grab the copy of Galaxy Soldier. Instead, don't grab the Galaxy Brave, grab the Galaxy Soldier. And then special summon out your copy of the Photon Vanisher to your side of the field, trigger its effect, and then draw from deck to hand a copy of your Galaxy Eyes Photon. Galaxy Eyes Photon is going to trigger, or the Galaxy Eyes, or the Galaxy Soldier is going to trigger, special summon it, discard this to the graveyard, and then you have this set up for a Galaxy Knight play. This is not going to trigger, but you can make another monster on your side of the field, which is kind of nice. Now you can activate the Techie or the Galaxy Trance, which lets you target a Photon monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and a Galaxy monster from your deck with the same attack, or the same level. So we're going to go ahead and special summon out our copy of Photon Orbital, and we're going to special summon out a Galaxy monster from our deck that has the same level, which is going to be our Photon Thrasher. So you just put 5 monsters essentially on board, so you have a really decent board just right here that you can go off with. Now, you can't normal summon or set, and they don't destroy themselves either, so you can just leave this on the field, the Orbital on the field. We're going to kind of ignore the Orbital. Go ahead and overlay these two together, and summon out your copy of Nova, and then summon out your copy of Infinity. Now, if you want to go an interesting way, since you don't have a monster in hand, you could go for a copy of Union Carrier, because it does take 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, and that's a warrior, and this is a warrior. So you can go ahead and tag these together, summon out your copy of Union Carrier, and then Union Carrier's effect is going to trigger, equipping a copy of Photon Orbital from your deck to your side of the field. You can equip it to any monster, and then it makes that monster go up, which is kind of nice. And then you can also send this card to the graveyard, because it can resolve. You can send this to the graveyard to add a Photon or Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand, which can be your copy of Galaxy Knight, which is going to be super helpful to help us out quite a bit. Now, we did not normal summon this turn. So, because you special summoned out the Photon Vanisher, you special summon this from deck, you special summon this from deck, and you special summon the Galaxy Soldier. So that all started with a Galaxy Soldier. Now you can normal summon out your Galaxy Knight because you have a monster on your side of the field. And then you can special summon your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your graveyard. And then overlay these two to go for a copy of the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, which is going to get us an extra negate. So you essentially end with 3 negates and the 2 negates and the copy of Call by the Grave, which is going to be super helpful for the hand. That's not bad at all. That's not a bad feel at all to end with something like this, because you have the negate, you have a negate, and you have the Call by the Grave to stop your opponent at any time while you were working on this field. And it's not. This is what Galaxy Eyes should be able to do with the defensive plays. So I'm going to do a really quick one where we're going second, just to see and to show you guys what an uninterrupted board would look like for Galaxy Eyes. Now, I know you got a lot of you guys are like, well, you're not going to get an well, sometimes you do get an uninterrupted board. Sometimes. It's not all the time, but sometimes you do. So we're going to go ahead and just see, like, you might go up against a deck and you might Nibiru them, on the first turn where they don't have a response, because a lot of people stack them on copies of regular monsters. They're negates now, where it's not so many hand traps, it's more of that. So we're just going to see what we can do and show you guys what we can do with a going second hand, and that'll be our last test hand. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck, draw. We're going to get a Call by the Grave, not too bad. Galaxy Soldier, trade in, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. That is a perfect setup right there. Another trade-in, and then for our going second hand, we're going to go ahead and draw into Photon Vanisher. Now, we're going to go off on our opponent. We're immediately going to discard the copy of Photon Dragon and our copy of trade-in to draw 2, which is going to help us out not that much. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly what you really do. Don't do that if you have a search in hand. You have a search in hand, so go ahead and trigger that. Discard this card to the graveyard and immediately special summon the Galaxy Soldier, which is going to get you another play out of your deck to immediately get that other copy of Galaxy Soldier. Or you could do this because you know you're going to get another play. You're going to get out that copy of Galaxy Knight because you're trying to make a rank 8 play. Go ahead and add this because you know you have that negate. You know you have that card that's going to the graveyard. So you're fine. So if your opponent tries to hit you with anything, drop that Call by the Grave. Go ahead and trade in them now. Cut that deck really quick just to make sure because we didn't look. And draw into another Galaxy Soldier and a Photon Sanctuary. This is getting a little crazy. Now, if you wanted to, you could drop this and draw 2, which you're going to draw into this, which is not going to help us at all. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what you're going to do here. Go ahead and normal summon this guy out, and then you're going to special summon from your graveyard your copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. This is going to lose 1,000 attack. Then you're going to trigger the effect and drop your copy of Photon Sanctuary. We're going to go ahead and just lay these 2 down because we're going in with this hand. We're not going to be defensive at all. We're going all the way in. So go ahead and overlay these 2 together and make a copy of, you can make Dragibolon, you can make, and then make number 100 and go in for 9,000 with this hand. It doesn't matter. Or you could do what I prefer to do, where it gives you an extra pop. If you have the ability to OTK them, go for this, where you can just attack them for big damage. But if you don't, go ahead and overlay for the number 62 and then go from 62 into Full Armor Photon, and then you get an extra pop. Now you can also link these 2 together and then summon out a copy of your Union Carrier as well, which is really cool because it's the same monster with the same attribute. You can link into the copy of Union Carrier. It doesn't say accept tokens, so you can do that. And then we're immediately going to summon out a copy of the Photon Orbital on the bottom of this, and then drop the Photon Orbital to the graveyard and add from our deck to our hand a copy of a Galaxy Eyes or a Photon monster. So I'm going to add Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon because I really don't want to deal with Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in my hand. I just don't want to deal with that in my deck. And you can either trade in it, which I probably would do, or the Galaxy Soldier, which would be fine too. But if we trade in, see, you get more value now. So we're going to go ahead and ditch these. And now you can do this, where you can discard this and then special summon this and go for an infinity play on top of all of this, which is insane. Because now you can gobble up an opponent's monster. And if they try and do any battle phase stuff, you have a negate. You have a pop here, you have a swing here, and then you have a swing here. And you put on damage. You put 4,000, 6,100, 7,100 damage on board just with this. If you didn't want to go for this route, you could summon out your Dragibolon instead. And then the Dragibolon would summon out your number 100 with a copy of a monster equipped to, which is basically you take two dragon number monsters with different names, and then you special summon one on top of the other, which you could take number 38 and put under it, which is fine. And then you have 9,000 damage right there. You have 9,000, 3,000, 1,200, or more than that. You have like 1,500 under the, or 2,500 under this, and then you have 1,000 right there. So you have a lot of damage right there. You could go for this if you need the pop, but if you're going to go for this, I would just go for the Dragibolon. So that's pretty much how you do the test hand, or how you do Galaxy Eyes going second. As you can see, it is a totally going second deck. Making fields like this is insane, and you had the Call by the Grave to stop your opponent if you needed to, which is super, super helpful. If we're going to go into another hand, you're going to draw on a Galaxy Brave, which is what I kind of mentioned earlier. This deck is kind of like a glass cannon. If you don't hit them with all that, and you can't go in, the deck is not going to do very well. So that's something to keep in mind about Galaxy Eyes. It's a fun deck, don't get me wrong, but it is sometimes kind of like a glass cannon, and that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how the deck functions. So that's it for the test hands, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys want to check out the down in the description, we have some really cool deck profiles. We'll have the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon deck down there. And if you guys also want to check out the Patreon, we have some really cool stuff in the Patreon for you guys to check out as well, which is really cool for the channel if you guys want to become a patron. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on your come bar notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.